Hey everybody, this is John. Welcome to the free video. This is a stock I am looking at for tomorrow. It's an IBD 50 stock, Winnebago. Doesn't sound very exciting, but we have clusters of buy signals. I'll talk more about what those mean in a moment. Meanwhile, one stock to keep an eye on for tomorrow, as it does impact the markets, is Intel. You can see today on volume that's 412% above normal. It had a pretty big sell-off. It managed to rally a little bit after hours, but then is selling off again after hours. They've discovered some huge security flaws in their chips. And this week, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out tomorrow. We've obviously seen a big rally in chips. And we'll see if that kind of extinguishes the fire, so to speak. The first day of the trading year, the NASDAQ finally had volume that was a little above normal. And then today we were back down below normal volume. All right, and you can see we're just kind of chop, chop, choppity, chop, chop, chop. I'm going to talk a little bit about looking at short-term topping signals here also in just a moment. In the meantime, some fun stocks that I like here a lot. Overstock.com. I am looking for a move to the 1272 extension, which is $89. We're currently at $73. This one can be acquired. I mean, it can be typically on something like this. The first real target is going to be the 786 retracement. So that's about $78, so that's actually still playable. And then if it can get through that level, that's where you look for the 1272 extension move. From there, also looking at OLED for tomorrow. Nice little pickup in volume today, and we've got a gorgeous squeeze and looking for it to cruise there. And then what about the general markets? We are a little extended here, so I want to talk about that and just kind of the idea of, what do you look for in terms of, what are signs that you've got a market that looks great and then all of a sudden, boom, it gets whacked. And can you spot that? And if so, what can you do about it? So, all right, so one of the biggest questions I'm getting after the first couple days of the year is just along the lines of, okay, we've had this great rally, but one of my New Year's resolutions is that, if we're rallying, that I recognize signs that the rally is almost over and then it's about to revert back to the mean. Okay, so here you can see Tesla goes from 345 and it goes fairly quickly down to 330. That's a 15-point drop. Okay, that's what's known as a reversion to the mean. Now, if you're caught unawares and you're long and it's just like, oh, this is great, I'll buy the next pullback, here's the pullback, but you get toasted, that's frustrating, okay? And this also works the other way, where if something gets a little too far away from the mean to the downside, there's signals, specific signals that'll set up and say, hey, this is where the algos are starting to take the opposite side of this trade, meaning they're starting to buy it, targeting the mean. Okay, so that's, you can see that worked pretty good with Tesla on the hourly chart. And so the question is what about the indexes? So it works the same way with the indexes. So here you can see you've got the signs here, we revert back to the mean. Here we've got the signs here, we revert back to the mean. All right. Guess what? Today we started getting the signal again. So the two things that we want to keep in mind here is that, one, if we do have longs, just ratchet up those stops, and two, we want to start preparing for the reversion to the mean. Now, once you revert back to the mean, it's kind of like it's free to then go and make new highs. But the question you want to ask yourself is that, do you want to hold through a potential multi-day pullback here? And if you want to, that's fine. If you've got positions that you're holding for the next month or the next 3 months or longer term, then yeah, don't worry about it. You're just going to hold through the wiggles. But if you're a shorter term trader and you want to capitalize on that, you just want to be aware, okay? So same thing here. Here's the cues, shorter time frame. You can see on Friday we got these levels and we reverted, boom, right back into the mean. That was actually on Thursday. And now here we are again getting those and ready to revert. And the next thing we want to look for is that in addition to markets that have reverted, okay, we want to know when that's about to happen because there are specific signals for that that tell us the odds of that happening have increased exponentially, right? The next thing we want to look for are, once something reverts, do we have what I call squeeze clusters that can now launch us back out into the stratosphere, or up or down. So like WGO, this is an IBD 50 stock. You can see right now we've got a 20 and a 30-minute squeeze, as well as a daily and a 4-hour squeeze, and then over here we have a 5-minute squeeze. And I call this a strategic cluster, where the 5-minute can go, and that becomes the fuse that lights off the 20 and the 30 minutes, which becomes the fuse which lights off the 4-hour and the daily. So what's so nice about this is that you can take a 5-minute chart and time your entry here and actually use a fairly tight stop, since you're using a 5-minute chart. And then if this thing ignites, okay, and it can trigger all of these, then you get a very low risk entry for a potential very high reward. So your risk to reward ratio, you're often risking 1 to make 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Okay, so it's pretty fantastic that way. So I am going to be doing a free webinar on Thursday night about these tools. Now, for those of you that recently took the haystack class, the top hat class, that is the tools that I'll be discussing. So if you'd like a refresher, you'd like a review, and see some of the things that I'm looking at now with them, please join us. Again, free webinar, and we're going to be talking about strategy. And then for those of you that haven't seen these tools, it's just so you can understand them. You're going to see us using them in the room, and you might like to use them for your own trading as well, and at least understand the concepts. All right, so this will be Thursday, January 4th at 7 o'clock Central. Just click on that. And what we're going to be talking about is when to expect some major reversals in 2018. I'm going to show you the setup that I use to look for those, how to find massive swing trades before they even start, really picking up on things like sector rotation before they happen, avoiding overbought and oversold signals, which it's interesting because like RSI and stochastic overbought and oversold by themselves are faulty, but when combined with something like this are very powerful. Okay, and then also just understanding what the algorithms are doing, especially intraday. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing you guys there, and we'll see you at the next update.